Hi green lovers! Well, I've got some gorgeous cucumber plants that I need to get in the ground, and in this video I'm going to show you some very special techniques that I use to protect them from pests. My cucumber plants are particularly prone to a wide variety of pests, so I'm going to show you how I do that. I'm also going to show you a new trellising method that I'm going to be using this year, so coming right up. First, let's talk about the types of cucumbers that I'm going to be planting. The first one is an old favorite. I've planted this for many years. It's the Boston Pickling Cucumber. It's a small, delicious cucumber, very, very productive. So this is a mainstay in my garden. I plant these every year. The second variety is a new variety that I'm trying this year. It's called Beit Alpha. It's a Middle Eastern variety. And what's interesting about this particular cucumber variety is that it's parthenocarpic. Now, what parthenocarpic means is that the flowers don't need to get fertilized. So it produces fruit without fertilization. That's pretty cool, isn't it? The other thing about the Beit Alpha variety is that it is a very delicious, thin-skinned, seedless variety. So we're going to try this out and see how we do. I've heard a lot of really good things about it. I've got several plants that I am going to be planting as is. I'm not going to be teasing out the roots because these plants do have strong tap roots that are extremely brittle. As you can see, the plant itself is a very brittle plant. And if you break that tap root, this thing won't grow. So I'm going to plant it as is. I'm not going to try to separate them out, and I'll show you how I do that in just a second. First, let me talk about this new trellising system that I am using. Now, this is called a net trellis, and I got it relatively inexpensively. This cost under $5 for about 15 feet of this material, this netting material. It's about 5 foot high, and it is made out of UV resistant, some kind of a nylon thread. So it should give you at least a couple of years of trellising ability, but I have not used it before, so I can't really vouch for it. This is just the reviews that I have read. However, it is very, very easy to set up. What I've done is I've got these stakes that I have attached to the ground using rebar. So I stuck in some rebar and I put this on it. You can tie bamboo poles or anything to the rebar using zip ties. That works very well too. I've spaced them about 2 feet apart, and I wrapped this netting around it, and you can tie it to the poles. There are these little threads coming out at the ends, and I got about, as you can see, 1, 2, 3 of these out of this with about 2 feet in between. And I plan to plant the cucumbers at the bottom, at the base of these, and they're going to crawl up this trellis. Roughly 4 feet in height is what I have got, and that should be sufficient to grow these cucumbers. This is supposed to be really sturdy. You can get, you can hold quite some heavy fruit. Maybe not watermelon, but you know, vining squash and things like that you should be able to grow on this. Beans, pole beans, and things like that. So I'm going to try this out and let's see how it goes. Now let's talk a little bit about what I am doing to plant my cucumbers and also keep them protected. I have a very big problem with pill bugs and roly-polies. If you've been watching my previous videos, I've also got slugs, I've got earwigs, etc. And these cucumber plants are prime food for any and all of these insects. They will get eaten within a matter of hours. So I've got to do a few things to make sure that they stay nice and safe until they are strong enough that the bugs don't bother them anymore. Now, the first thing is I do not separate my plants. I plant this entire clump together, and cucumbers actually can grow pretty close together, but what I might do is I will see how these plants are doing, and I'll probably thin them down to 2 plants, which can grow pretty close together fairly well. And the reason why I don't mess around with separating these plants is because I want to avoid transplant shock. So it will go through a phase when it is a lot weaker and it will need to stabilize in its new environment. I want to avoid that because during that time it is much more susceptible to all kinds of pests. It is susceptible to sunshine, which will beat down on it and cause it to shrivel up, all kinds of bad stuff. So I try to avoid transplant shock. And the way that I do it is I plant this entire clump and I don't take it out of this cup. I remove the bottom of the cup and I plant it as is into the soil. So I dig a hole, I prepare the hole, and then I plant it cup and all with the bottom part removed. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's dig this hole. As you can see while I'm digging this hole, this is wonderful soil. There's a lot of earthworms and some wonderful organic material. I built this raised bed last year and I took a lot of trouble to make sure that I built it out with great organic matter. Look at that potato. There's another one. I had some potato plants growing in this earlier in the year and I obviously missed several potatoes. But this is a no-dig bed. Oh wow. I'm getting a lot of potatoes while I'm digging this out. This is a no-dig bed. I just make the holes and I plant them in here. I don't till the soil, and that really helps build soil health. Now, that's about as deep as I'm gonna dig it. I'm gonna throw in some organic slow-release fertilizer. And now let's plant this plant in here. So this is what it looks like. It's not root bound at all, which is great. And I'm going to bury it so that there is a portion of the lip, maybe about an inch or so, that is poking up above the soil. And that is my third trick to keep the roly-polies and earwigs and slugs away, is they don't prefer to climb over the edge of the cup. They like to be able to walk right into it and start chomping away. So this is a deterrent for them for sure. So I will plant this with the cup sticking up just a little bit, and the roots will grow out through the soil and into the bottom, and it should be good to go. Now I do have one final trick up my sleeve that I also do to deter creatures from crawling into this cup, and that is I line the top of the cup with some cold pressed neem oil. I don't dilute it, I just put it directly along the edge here, and that will guarantee that the insects and creatures won't crawl into this. They do not like the smell of that neem oil. I plant it in here. You can see there is a little bit of the cup sticking up, and make sure that you water it really well. Cucumbers are thirsty plants, they are hungry plants, and this really helps settle the roots into their new home. And now the final touch, I'm going to add that neem oil. Here is my cold pressed neem oil, 100% neem oil. Don't settle for anything less. And I'm wearing some plastic gloves because this thing smells really strong, and it is so difficult to get the smell out of your fingers. So I tried all kinds of strong smelling soaps. Nothing took the smell away. It had to eventually gradually wear off. So do wear some gloves when you're handling this. But all you want to do is just a drop or so on your fingers. I can't do this one-handed, but you get the idea. And then just, whoops, I don't want to spill it. You get the idea. So just get a little bit on your fingers and then just rub the edge with neem oil. And this will create a rock solid barrier that all the little critters that want to eat your cucumbers, they're gonna stay far away from this. So that's it, folks. I hope you learned something new, and I hope you tried this method. It really does work. And if you liked this video, do hit that like button. It really helps get this to a broader audience. and subscribe to my channel for more garden hacks that work. And we're at the start of the gardening season, so lots of videos coming up. I hope you enjoyed this, and until next time, live green and love your greens.